to history!
What's up, good people? Welcome with the gates hanging from the rafters. Hall of Fame game. Luckily, we get the very first game of the preseason. We don't have to wait at all. Chargers play the Lions. Chargers win 34-7, won pretty handily. Lions didn't play many starters. I don't think much at all, to be honest with you. But pretty fun performance from the Chargers today, and a lot we can talk about. I think first off, Craig, we can, I guess, start off with Trey Lance. Let's move offense, defense, talk about special teams, but let's talk about Trey Lance. 13 for 20, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Dare I say Trey Lance looked like a above average backup QB?
Yep.
That was kind of wild, man. Harbaugh has done his magic again. Maybe we'll see what happens throughout the remainder of the preseason. As we know, teams kind of ratchet it up a little bit, probably get some more starters as the next 2 games roll around and see how he performs. But for a first outing as a Charger, based on what we last saw when he was on the opposite side of the field, this was market improvement overall. I mean, there's a couple things that he still needs to work on, specifically moving through his progressions, maybe a little bit more touch on those fade balls, specifically when we're talking about like in the red zone. He missed on a few of those. But, I mean, the dude managed the game very well. He was efficient, made very good decisions. Overall, I was very, very impressed by what I saw from Trey Lance. He wasn't erratic at all. He never looked like the game was too much for him. No real plays where he panicked. Even when he got flushed out of the pocket, he looked like he was still looking downfield to make throws, but also when he was scrambling, he was moving with purpose. He didn't kind of look like a chicken with his head cut off. He was able to avoid a couple of defenders that were able to get into the backfield. So I really liked what I saw.
Yeah, there was a lot to like about his performance today. We saw, even though like there were a couple, the touches on the fade passes weren't all that great, and he had Fitzpatrick open on one of them, and he just whistled it right by him. It hit him in the hands, but also it just had too much mustard on it. But I will say the 4th down throw to Will Dissly on that bootleg had some real nice touch to it. Where he got out there and he was able to put a little extra air underneath it. It was perfect on that 4th down throw. He felt like he was playing really well, throwing off platform, being able to throw on the run. I saw him panic twice in the pocket, but he did get a man in his face a couple times. But outside of that, I mean, it was a pretty clean performance from Trey Lance. He got a couple short fields, made the most of it. Got them in field goal range multiple times. You know, he did a great job with the time that he was allotted, which was every throw but like the last drive, which was like 3 of them, which went to DJ, by the way. Yeah, really strong performance. And I mean, yeah, it looked like a nice addition as a backup quarterback, and hopefully he can string a couple of these performances together, because so far, I mean, after that first game, he looked really good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like that first drive started and ended with a play action pass from Lance to Dissly. I don't think anyone really saw that coming either way. I mean, Dissly was a bit more of the passing game last year than what we needed him to. Well, no, we definitely needed him to be, but what we expected him to be. But again, it's a preseason game, and there are a few more offensive weapons at the quarterback's disposal moving into the regular season. So if we see a bunch of Will Dissly in the passing game during the preseason, then, cool. But it was just very funny to see them start the game off that way. It was not what I was expecting. If you would have asked me to bet, it would have been a power run before anything. But just goes to show you, they trust Trey Lance and his mobility and his ability to get the ball out and accurately on the run. So kudos to the kid, because he played very, very well.
I mean, they were talking about him all throughout camp, and you kind of thought, like, great. I mean, he's a backup quarterback, and, he'll probably get him behind Heineke. But as we saw through game 1, it was all Trey Lance, no Heineke, no Herbert, obviously. And then it was DJ right after that. So I don't know. There's going to be an interesting little shuffle between QB2, QB3, because Trey Lance gets the first shot at it so far, and he definitely made the best of his situation.
I would say safe to say that there's a competition going on. I mean, when we heard it earlier in camp, I thought maybe it was just a little bit of lip service, but with what Lance put on display today and what we've been hearing about some of the stuff he's been doing at camp, don't be shocked. I mean, they're going to carry 3, but if he ends up being QB2, I mean, it just kind of looks like it makes more sense right now.
Yeah. So we saw both rookie wide receivers start today. Trey Harris got no action really. He had a corner route that Lance gave him no chance on. So he had one target, but the other man on the other side, I know somebody that you want to get to right away, I'm sure, is KLS, who had himself a day too.
Yeah. I think the one ball that Trey I think was a fade. It was another one of those fades that Lance put too much mustard on, so not enough touch. So Trey didn't really have an opportunity to go up and battle for a 50-50. But
Right.
yeah, still, we called that out already. It's something that he definitely needs to work on. But KLS, before I get started, a lot of people out there love to hate watch us, right? They'll latch on to one thing we say, and then they'll go in the comments and just pretend like the whole hour plus of everything else we talked about doesn't matter. They'll just latch on this one thing, especially people who are QJ apologists. Again,
Okay.
got to state this up front. We don't dislike QJ. We just call out the errors where they are and the fact that there's still some improvement to make, even though he did improve year over year. So this is not to slight him in any way, shape, or form. This was freaking exciting, though, because we saw this kid in practice making big plays, contested catches. You're seeing his ability to adjust to the ball downfield. We saw that translate into the 2 targets he had tonight. Strangely enough, 2 targets, 2 catches, one where he catches a ball and tracks it beautifully. It was a really nice pass from Trey Lance. It was towards the boundary in between the safety and the corner. So great ball placement, excellent catch, protecting himself through contact, shielding the ball, getting down. The second one was the nastiest of slant routes. He accosted DiCaprio Boodle. I'm not sure what he did to him is actually quite legal, but former Charger DiCaprio Boodle, by the way. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, just talk about the maneuvering there in space, being able to create separation. He gave him a little bit of a hesitation step, a little bit of a rocker step. He gets leverage to the outside, and then Boodle looks like his femur snapped in half. Like there's a still shot that was shared in the Discord. I think it was Stanley that might have shared it. I put it up on Twitter. He literally looks like he's grabbing for his leg mid-route. And then you see nothing but green grass in front of KLS, catches the ball, gets through a little bit of contact when Boodle recovers and goes for his legs. And then he just, shimmies his way into the end zone. And he made it look easy. It's a preseason game. Yes. It was against DiCaprio Boodle. Yes. But Boodle doesn't see KLS in practice every day like some of these other DBs do. And they understand his tendencies. And in practice, in one-on-one situations, or, if they're playing pass scale, it's set up for the wide receivers to win. This is real live game action. He showed that in space, regardless as to whether or not it's a preseason game and the fact that it was DiCaprio Boodle, that he's got some ability that maybe people didn't even realize he had coming out of Penn State and Auburn. The dude can run routes in a more nuanced way than he was given credit, because most people just thought he was a deep threat. He showed a little something there. And it shows that he's definitely been working on his craft. And if he can continue to string this together, that wide receiver room is going to get really, really interesting, because he adds an explosive element that doesn't just require a guy who can get downfield and battle through contact to catch passes. If we're talking about a guy who can create separation with his route running prowess and then also beat you deep because he runs mid 4.3s, then Sanjay Law, like I said, I think I put it in the Discord. Somebody might have to get him a Nobel Peace Prize here in a couple years or something, because he's the one. That's the reason why this kid's on the team in the first place. He lobbied for him, and the Chargers may end up being all the better for it.
I'm not giving him a Nobel Peace Prize till he fixes QJ, who, by the way, is catching strays who didn't even play today. I apologize for that, but I mean,
it's not me.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you started off by going, listen, QJ, and we weren't even talking about QJ.
I'm just saying, because people are going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just addressing it up front.
Oh, okay, all right. You're getting ahead of it. I get it. But yeah, KLS coming out of college, the one thing while watching his tape was it felt like his footwork off the line was just not quite good enough. He would be able to beat people in the second, third level, but he wasn't getting a lot of catch and goes. He wasn't winning off the line a lot in college. And I saw an interview like a week and a half ago about how he's been working on his footwork nonstop all off season. As soon as he got in, he's been talking about footwork. He's been working with Ladd. He's been in his ear about it and working with Lull pretty closely. Footwork was a pretty big emphasis for him this off season. And when you have that speed, but then you add the footwork that he's starting to build upon now, I mean, you see what it does to DBs. He broke off Boodle with his footwork, and you put DBs in a really tough spot when you have that kind of speed off the line, and then you can break them off with your footwork. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And even with that one, I mean, that was like the highlight reel. It was basically like the equivalent of an NBA crossover on that touchdown catch. But Boodle is one thing, but to go up against Enos Rakestraw, who was highly touted 2 years ago, was a second round pick. Most people surprised he fell out of the first round. Lions pick him up. They think he's going to have a pretty good second year. So he's pretty close to a starter, at least a fringe starter for Detroit. He broke him off at the line and then was able to get behind him. And then, like you mentioned, Lance was able to drop in the bucket, get it over Rakestraw before the safety and get out of bounds. I mean, everything he did, and it's only 2 targets. One of them obviously was a touchdown, but he is as good as advertised, in as close to real game play as you can get in the preseason.
Yeah, what we have is what we have to go off of. So everyone who's saying that we're gassing it up, I mean, this is what we have. The same way all we had was practice, and everyone wanted to point the finger about whoever was doing what, and we made a big deal out of practice catches, regardless as to who it was. This is actual in-game against opponents, not on your same team, live bullets, real contact. They can tackle you. You can get PBUs. There isn't some sort of agenda in practice where maybe the object is to allow the receiver to get all this other stuff. None of that matters. This is a real in-game reps, and this is what we have to go off of. Until he shows us that he can't do it, then we're going to praise it. I didn't see anything tonight that drew any real, and I mean, yes, it's a preseason game. I'm going to go back and rewatch it because I literally want to watch every single rep of his, just like I want to see every single Trey Harris rep. And I'll go back and critique it for every rep. But what we saw as far as the targets, where he was a primary receiver on whatever play that was or those were, he did what he needed to do from start to end, whether it was getting off the line of scrimmage, creating separation, not giving away any tips in his routes, completing the catch, and making a play. We're talking about a chunk play and a touchdown. What more could he have done tonight?
Yeah, he was great, especially with the opportunities he was given. In the chat, Brandon Hellman, is Trey Lance better than Dak? Crazy stat. Dak this year has 0 touchdowns. Trey Lance has 2.
Crazy, right?
120, and Trey Lance has 120 more yards than Dak has all season.
Better completion percentage and everything. Is wild, man.
Yeah. So you tell me.
As of right now, Brandon, I think you might be onto something, champ.
You tell me. All right. Let's move on. And I want to talk about the running backs because it felt like every single running back gave you a little something today. We saw Hampton break off a pretty good 8-yard run. He got out on the outside. Rocky Sin stopped him in his tracks, but showed some really good wiggle. We saw Kamani Vidal gets a short TD off that Reed touchdown, which we'll get to. He got it on the second effort, by the way. He was stopped at the goal line, got it on the second effort, then stretches the corner on that fourth down TD at the end of the game. He was the leader in rushing yards with 37. We saw Naheem Hines show a little bit of wiggle today. Miller Hines. Got to get used to that. Showed it in the open field, also after the catch. A little bit on the return game. Hassan Haskins, shout out to Haskins, who had a really nice run. It was an 11-yard scamper, which was really nice. But there was a really, really good blitz pickup in the second quarter where he upended the linebacker coming at Trey Lance. And also another guy who showed it in the run game and in the pass game. And then we saw, was that it? Oh, and Jared Patterson, a little bit from Patterson today too. He had like 3 opportunities. I think he had like 2 yards or something. But for the most part, the offensive line did pretty good outside of one name, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But there were some holes for these running backs to run through today, and they did pretty good. Pretty impressed with Vidal today, and then seeing a little bit of Hampton and getting on the outside was pretty nice to see too.
Yeah, Vidal was one of the guys that I was keen on to watch this game, so it was really nice to see him get in the end zone twice and just hard running.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't a lane, he showed the ability to kind of just get his pads low and burrow forward for a couple of yards where he could, and then when he bounced it to the outside, he did it with a purpose, taking on contact and creating some yards after contact in some cases. But yeah, we're talking about just really powerful leg drive is one of the things that I noticed from him and scouting him from Troy a couple of years ago. But his ability to get the edge and get to the house on that fourth down carry, really impressive as well. Amari and Hampton, it was a little bit of a tease, man, because he's got 2 rushes. One was 8 yards and was a really nice run. You could see the explosiveness and just the power that he runs with. And the other, where he got to the corner, I swore he was going to score. It felt like he was going to hurdle. Who was that on that? That was Rock Ya-Sin. I thought he was going to hurdle Ya-Sin, but he just, it looks like, I'm not going to say he was lazy about it. It just didn't look like he wanted to chance it. It's like it's a preseason game. I don't think I'm going to go that hard. But I thought he was going to break his scene off with a little bit of a hurdle and get in there. But either way, it was just enough to, give you a glimpse at what he's capable of. Naeem's Miller-Hines, I actually liked what I saw from him as a runner, being that I wasn't expecting very much. Again, I didn't know what to think coming into the game. The guy hasn't played football in 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
So wasn't sure about his explosiveness, but not only did he run the ball well as a ball carrier, but he had some pretty nice returns also. Showed solid hands, which we already knew he could do as a receiver. So I think it creates, as the preseason goes on, maybe a few more questions potentially. We'll see how things shake out. They've just got so many options at running back. Jarrett Patterson had a huge run that got called back for illegal motion, so it sucks because those numbers would look a lot nicer. And then Hassan Haskins, man, Mr. Special Teams, but he made the most out of every carry he had tonight. He was getting his Debo from Friday on a couple of times, just kind of running through guys' faces. So I can absolutely appreciate that. I know Jim Harbaugh loved every second of it because not only is that a Michigan guy, but that's just his style of running back. So I'm sure he appreciated every carry. And when they go back and watch the film, he's probably going to be gushing about that then too. But I think the backs overall, for what was going on in front of them, even some decent holes that were open in the offensive line. There were some instances where guys got penetration, but I think overall, just if we're talking solely the running backs, everyone did a pretty bang up job. I didn't really have any complaints about any of them.
No, but Patterson did have a pretty nice catch later on. It was like a 12-yard deal that was pretty nice. It felt like everybody contributed. We didn't see, obviously, Najee Harris, excuse the pun, but he wasn't out there. But having the other 4, it was a nice little mix of running backs there today.
Yeah, for sure.
So in terms of the offensive line, it felt like everybody was fine. I think Trey Lance got sacked once. He got flushed, but it was Zion Johnson who was a mess today. He had 2 missed snaps on that first drive. One was too high, one was on the ground. But just as like a blocker, the 2 times that it felt like Trey Lance felt a little panicked was when his clock got sped up because Zion missed a block inside. He did not look good today as a center. He was by far the worst lineman in my mind today. I'm gonna watch these guys again, but everybody else just seemed fine, while Zion just seemed like a mess.
And you can't have that from the center position. Now, granted, he's only been playing it for a few months now. And again, live action in pads, he's only had a couple of practices where he's actually played center with a defender trying to get behind him to the QB or as a run blocker. But so far, it ain't looking great. And you have to be able to snap the ball, man, because the problem there is that there's never a good time for a bad snap. But if this is happening with this much frequency already, it's bound to happen at the most inopportune time if they were going to season like this, which I fully don't believe they will. I have my own theory about what's going on here. I think they were giving him the opportunity and they'll continue to kind of cross-train him there, but it's probably more so to help him understand twists and stunts from both the center's perspective as well as the guard. And maybe when he moves back to guard, it helps him out a little bit. I hope that's the case, because if they saw this tonight and I hear anything about Harbaugh's not going to throw him under the bus. The last thing I want to hear, though, in whatever presser with Harbaugh in front of a lectern is saying how he loves his ability to get to the second level. Screw that. I just want to see you snap the ball and literally just don't get your face run through, and I'll be happy. If you can make that level of progress, then great. I just don't want him as the starting center because I don't know how much improvement he can make over the next 3 to 4 weeks to say that he'd be ready and decent at center position. And you just can't have that. I mean, literally, it's the bedrock of your offensive line. I'm just curious to see what the plan is moving forward, but I have a strange feeling that he could potentially work himself out of the starting lineup altogether. And if he ends up having been the weak link this entire time, that's going to suck for him because the dude's got amazing athletic ability, super smart, but the processing on the field just hasn't clicked.
Nope.
And then you want to couple that with him snapping the ball, having to call out protections, things like that. I don't know if you want to chance that. If you like a healthy Justin Herbert, it's probably not the best choice you'd make.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, as far as tonight, it was rough, and you got to give him the snaps if you want to give him the opportunity. So I'm assuming we're going to see more of it throughout the preseason, but I just don't think he's going to be the guy come week 1. I just don't see how it's possible.
Oh, I think he should get the snaps at center.
Mm-hmm.
Throw him into the fire and figure it out, because at some point, once week 1 rolls around, you got to figure out what you're doing with Zion Johnson. And if center isn't working, because listen, Bozeman does not help situations. If you had a solid starting center and you were just cross-training him just to see how he would do for the future, I understand that, but man, it's not working right now. So I give him as many center snaps as you want and figure it out from there. I think you gotta figure out what you're gonna do, because week 1's pretty close, and they're just mixing and matching those two, that left guard and center spot.
It's again, I'm not going to be shocked if he's literally not starting week 1. I mean, I heard what Harbaugh said recently, that the plan is to move forward with Bozeman. Like he said it, the plan would be for Bozeman to start at center or some combination of he and Bozeman. But it seems like they're leaning more so towards Bozeman, which isn't great, but it's much better than Zion, which I guess really isn't saying a lot.
No,
But in the grand scheme of things, but again, I don't know. Maybe it's a situation where if you put someone like an Andre James in the mix as center and maybe even move Bozeman to guard, see what that combination looks like.
Yeah.
If it's decent on the interior, and literally the weakest link was Zion this entire time, that is going to be a sick and nasty discussion I have to have, because at that point you've got a first-round draft pick. I mean, of course, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but he's going to be a backup. And again, if this is all about competitors welcome and all that jazz, then there's a world where Zion isn't starting coming week 1. And that is what it is. It's the best case. Well, it's the best option. If it's the best option for the team, that's what they should do.
Yeah. And I've heard it with Bozeman. I get it. And I know they're playing him at guard and all that, but watching Andre James last year and watching Bradley Bozeman, Andre James was a better center in the NFL last year. And again, bar's not all that high, but the fact that we aren't hearing a lot of Andre James in the mix here is a little concerning. But it kind of also feels like maybe it's give Zion every opportunity they possibly can to figure it out. And if it doesn't work out, then he had all the chances he could get.
You tried.
You tried, and now it's time to move on. So let's move on. I mean, we talked about pretty much everybody, but we haven't talked about the tight ends yet. Not that there was a bunch to talk about outside of, the Will Dissly touchdown. We saw a Tucker Fisk catch over the middle, which was pretty nice.
Surprising.
We saw Gadsden make a catch. It was like a 7-yard gain. But outside of that, I mean, they all were pretty nice today.
Yeah.
The opportunities given.
Based on just kind of what we saw from a receiving perspective, not a whole lot to write home about. So I'm curious to go back and watch what the blocking looked like, specifically from Gadsden, and see what his reps look like.
Yeah.
That Tucker Fisk reception was actually pretty sweet.
It was a nice throw too.
When I saw 42 get up, I'm like, there's no way that was him that caught that pass. And he actually ran a pretty good route.
Yeah.
But I mean, Fisk is a huge dude. He's not someone you're used to seeing out in route, specifically not up the seams. So it was just good to see him make the catch, hold the ball, and absolutely, looks like he took a little bit of contact and was able to still fall forward. So all good things. And again, Will Dissly making plays, cool. It still freaks me out to see him running because he is like the least I'm not gonna say athletic. Let's just say he's not very aesthetically pleasing as a route runner. But
He's
if
white.
he gets the job done, yo, what do we? Hold on.
I knew where you're going.
Really did. Hold on.
I knew where you're going. Go
Absolutely not. See, the problem is in society right now, we have to be very careful about the things we say because people are very soft-skinned. In no way, shape, or form does that have anything to do with his ethnicity. But
okay, all right. Kind of felt like that's where you're going, but okay.
In space, he just doesn't look, all that great. It's not appealing, but it gets the job done. I'm all good with it. As long as it works, cool. But happy that everyone contributed and did their job from the tight end position, regardless of race. And again, just curious to get back and watch and see how everyone did in the blocking game. Although I'm sure for the most part, it was pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, KLS was like the highlight of the receiving core. There was a couple, like the Tucker Fisk catch was really nice, and Trey Lance zipped that in there too. It was a real nice throw.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there was like a couple dump offs to running backs, and then a reception here or there from a couple receivers and tight ends. But there wasn't much. Not that Trey Lance wasn't helping him out, but he just spread the ball around a lot today.
Yeah. Everybody got looks. Again, I think there needs to be some improvement with regard to his ability to kind of scan through his progressions. It seems like it's like a 1 read, 2 read thing, and they also cut the field in half for him a lot on those play action passes. So it's literally like 2 reads to that side of the field.
Yeah.
See the open guy, get it off. If not, make a play with your legs. But it's progress. They're not putting too much on him too soon. And I'm just happy to have seen him be successful in the passes that he did get off. He looked pretty sound from the pocket for a few of the snaps that he had from there. But they know what his strengths are, and they're allowing him to develop based on what he does very well. They're not trying to like round peg, square hole him, force feed him into doing things that they think he should be able to do. Take advantage of what he is good at, cultivate that, grow the other things as you move forward. So really happy about it.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else you want to touch on? I mean, there isn't really a lot of
pause.
I mean, I know there's Campbell. Come on, man. Campbell, I can't.
Your turn. It's your turn. Sorry, you can't get off what you got off on me and expect me to give you a little something back. Come on, man.
All right. So
if we're gonna shoot, we shoot.
From I wouldn't expect anything less. Rice had a completion. We saw Campbell, was quote unquote like getting work with the ones during camp. Got I think 3 targets. I think he had the most targets today. He had a catch. Jalen Johnson. Am I missing anybody?
On the offense,
I know Darius Davis. But it was
Darius Davis had a reception on I can't remember. It looked like it was a curl route. I just saw the catch. I didn't see the actual route. Was looking at. I looked away for a second. It looks like he ran a curl, but I think he was targeted like 1-2 other times. As far as anybody else offensively, no one else really sticks out. I think we covered all the major players.
All right, let's go to defense then, and let's talk about the new kid, Nico Reed, who really stood out today. Beautiful. I mean, he had a beautiful punch out on a pass on the second drive that resulted in an incompletion. The timing of that was amazing, and then he gets that pick on that late throw from Kyle Allen, broke on it, almost scored on it. I mean, he looked really good today.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. Did that pick look familiar to you?
Yes. It looked like another rookie who had done something a lot like that last year.
In a game against the Falcons on Kirk Cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like the exact same pick.
Yeah.
Love the way that he sat on the route. He wasn't flat-footed. He was definitely playing on his toes, but he watched the QB stare down that out route, and that ball came out late, and he drove on it.
Yeah.
With no hesitation, he comes downhill, picks it off, and then looks like he maybe ran out of gas there a little bit. I'm not sure what happened. Nico's a fast guy. So, like, after the catch, he flipped the field, though. He got them in scoring range, and that's all you can really ask for. Like, create the turnovers, and then if you can go make a play after that, then do so. But This is another kid whose name's been popping up during training camp, and now it's translating over into games. And then you're looking at kind of the injuries that have been going on in the secondary here in the first week and a half or so of camp. I'm not saying Reed. Well, no. You know what? I take that back because there's someone else who played like absolute trash tonight,
Ah,
who absolutely could be seeing himself potentially played off of the roster. And I
okay.
would have no problem with it. I don't care about them saying that Jasir Taylor, and if you guys couldn't tell, that's what I'm talking about, is like the most improved defensive back in camp so far. He gets in the game and he looked like Jasir Taylor that was playing on
Mhm,
like what, a broken leg last year. I couldn't tell
mhm.
the difference. Looked like
Uh-uh.
the same dude.
Yep.
So Nico Reed, if he keeps this up and he keeps performing and flashing in practices and then showing up in games and being a playmaker, then it makes somebody else expendable. And I know Jasir Taylor has been a solid special teams player, but if Reed couldn't do that and then give you a little bit of something there on the back end of the roster as a DB, and if you have to play him in a pinch, I feel a little bit better about him than than I do with Jasir Taylor in whatever year this is. I mean, that was a Staley draft pick, right? So
Mhm.
was this Taylor's third, fourth year, whatever it is. Um, I already feel better about Nico Reed than I've ever felt about Jasir Taylor, and that's sucks for Taylor. But at the end of the day, you either produce piss or get off the pot, man.
Reed had been talked about every day for like 8 days straight. They said that he made some kind of eye-popping play, either a PBU or a interception. He had a pick six during one of the practices on Justin Herbert, I believe they said. But man, I mean, if he's going to put up that kind of play and then bring it to real game action, I mean, that's some nice DB depth that I would not mind getting rid of Jasir Taylor for, because he early on in the game gave up he got absolutely washed on the screen for a big gain, which did not look like he gave much of an effort at all. He got pushed to the sideline during it. The next drive, he gave up like the biggest gain up to that point, where a wideout just ran right by him. Then he gives up a fourth down completion in the fourth quarter. I mean, we're talking again, the Lions are not playing starters, and he's getting his ass kicked out there right now against, we're talking like down the Lions depth chart, some guys who might not even make the team at the end of this. I don't know how you can expect him to get on a field during game day. And this is one day, this is one game in Nico Reed, but apparently he's been putting it together almost every day at practice. So I am all for DB depth, and I really, really, really feel like at this point, whatever they said in camp about Jasir Taylor and most improved or whatever, after today, you think they're at the very least neck and neck. Like they're both on the bubble. They are a coin flip at this point with all the goodwill and whatever Taylor got last year with his coaching staff. You put on what Reed's done through camp. I think, at the very least, they are pretty close to figuring out who that last DB spot's going to be. And I would say Reed's probably ahead at this point, but I don't know how you put on the tape. I mean, we're talking about a first pass, but it's pretty clear that Reed's the better player than Taylor was today.
I'm gonna say this again because I feel like I have to. Um, because everybody's gonna say we're taking it. Well, people are gonna say that we're taking this too far. But again, all we have is what we've seen to this point. Jasir Taylor has performed well in practice from what's been reported. Nico Reed has as well, but only one translated over into in-game action for one game so far. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the preseason. But just based off of the information we have right now, this is what leads us to the opinion that we currently have. Just making that clear.
Yep. So Nico Reed, great game today. The preseason lifer, Tony Jefferson, again shows out. Good tackle in the hole early, then gets an interception in the end zone. I mean, all he does is make plays in the preseason, man.
Uh, First ballot preseason Hall of Famer,
Yes. Yeah.
Tony Jefferson to you.
Hall of
Well,
Fame game. Yeah.
if I say Hoodie Mello, do you know who that is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So Mello would practice in the offseason. He wears a black hoodie. They show him practicing. Dude doesn't miss a shot from anywhere. He looks like a creative player on 2K. Like, it's the same thing. Jefferson's like Hoodie Mello on the football field in preseason. Everything he does just works. And we're talking about a guy who's Jefferson's, is he in his mid-30s yet? Can't remember exactly how old,
I don't
but
know.
old in
I'll look him up.
football years. However,
Yes,
however it is, old in football years, and dude just goes out and produces. I mean, you saw
33.
him. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, TJ. Definitely made you way older than what you are. So we're talking about a guy who sat out of football for a bit, comes back, get himself back in shape, and produces last year in a pinch for the Chargers, and he's fighting to be a part of the roster this year as well. And I mean, you've got some young guys behind him. You know, I'll mention someone else here in a bit on the defensive side of the ball that he's probably in a little bit of a competition with, but Jefferson can still play. This is a trend. Like we saw it during the preseason last year. It translated a bit into the regular season where he was not a liability then. And he had a full offseason to get himself together to come back. So we're talking about somebody who can still contribute. And if you're going to play, you know, some Chargers are loving to be in like those 3 safety sets. If someone else were to go down, you'd feel comfortable plugging Jefferson in there. But you can't help but feel great about that depth that you have at the safety position because literally every person back there. I mean, I know there are some questions about Alohi. His game was definitely off last year. He was dealing with some injuries, but collectively as a group, you like what you have there. And having a grizzled veteran who can still be a difference maker on the back end of your defense is saying a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, are we talking about RJ Mickens?
My boy, RJ.
Yeah, I was gonna get into him, man. He was good today. He was really good. He saved what would have been a touchdown by Reynolds on that run. He got by everyone, made a beautiful wrap up tackle in the open field, made a big hit on Lovett, which forced a fourth down. It was on third down, forced a fourth down. They ended up getting it on a run, but another nicely timed tackle in the fourth quarter at the end of the game to force a fourth down on another third down. I mean, the timing of his was so good, and the tackling of him in the open field today was so impressive. That's a man you want on the back end of your roster. That's a guy you want as a free safety, as your last man of defense. You can depend on him to make a tackle if you need to in the open field. RJ Mickens looked great today, and as a tackler, better than advertised.
Yeah, absolutely. Mickens was one of my favorite picks in this class. The fact that I feel like sometimes evaluators overthink things, and when someone isn't doing anything very flashy, they're just very, very good at what they're asked to do. It can be overlooked. Like if he isn't creating a bunch of turnovers, or isn't punching the ball out and peanut punching balls out, force fumbles, things like that. It isn't always about that. Sometimes you just need someone who's a steady, consistent piece in your defense who won't screw things up, especially on the back end. If you're talking about a last line of defense, you need someone who takes really good angles and has really good ball skills. If they don't get an interception, they should still be able to, create PBUs, things like that. But Mickens can do a little bit of everything, which is what impressed me when I was watching his tape this offseason. But as a tackler, that's something that you either have, like you can get better at tackling, but for someone this young to be so solid at it in space says a lot because you have to be fearless also. You can't hesitate. Like I mentioned before, you have to have a natural feel for it and taking great angles, and he showed all of that tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Mickens was really good. Reed was really good. Got some really good play from some DBs today.
Mm-hmm.
And a shout out to Miles Purchase, another DB. With the interception at the very end, that ripped the ball out that was an amazing play to end the game. That was a beautiful little cherry on top of this game.
The DB getting his Debo from Friday on because he took homeboy's lunch money. That was crazy. Like that looked like a sure catch. And the way that he just ripped it and then it flipped the field. It wasn't just enough to get the pick. He took it back and flipped the field for the offense, although it was ending the game. But if that was an in-game play, you're putting your team in position to score points again. So
sure. Yeah.
DB play is like going to be a very important. It already was. We know that the Chargers, it's funny because some teams pride themselves on being very good and like their front four, getting after the other quarterback, being really good pass rushers. But the Chargers are more of a back-end team, which I have no problem with because it's more of a passing league anyway. So if you're really good at keeping team like the top on the defense and not allowing teams to make big plays, forcing them to work their way down the field, it means they're probably going to, if they're not really, really sound, you're going to create them. You're going to create a turnover, or there's going to be like some unforced error. You're just going to force them to be on the field more often. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But the DBs for this team, even if it's a little bit of a revolving door, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the younger group of guys. I mean, I'm not saying I want to go to war every week with third and fourth stringers, but I like the progress that they're making. So it just goes to show you competent coaching and development goes a long way. And look at what we have now, as opposed to what we've been accustomed to for several years.
Yeah, I mean, you can count in Cam Hart, Tarheeb Still, Dante Jackson. Everybody after that's basically fighting for a spot. That's including guys like Dean Leonard and Jasir Taylor. And then you add in the dude we were just talking about, Nico Reed, St. Just. I mean, you know, there's some DBs that are going to – and then you get into the safety room, and you've got Derwin, obviously, Elohi, who's been up and down. Mickens did pretty good today. Molden, Bridges is probably part of that conversation. Tony Jefferson. So there's going to be some interesting guys on the bubble here that are basically playing for their 53 spot this preseason.
If they turn Benjamin St. Just into a player, I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid, because at this point the jury's still out, and just, you know, due to what we saw from his play with the Commanders, I'm shocked that they wanted him. But this was a guy that, I mean, he started off his career at Michigan, I believe, and transferred out. So he was a Harbaugh recruit. So they saw something in him, long rangey guy. But again, like I said before, development goes a long way. And if they can turn Benjamin St. Just into something, then we are cooking with grease.
Yeah. Want to give a shout out to Tito, who popped a couple times today, had a really good run stop on a second drive. Shout out to Christopher Hinton, who had a really nice fourth down stop during this game. And then one guy that we haven't talked about yet that I'd love to talk about is Caleb Murphy, who really popped today too. Had the fumble on the opening kickoff, had a tackle for a loss in the first quarter. I counted a second one in the second quarter, but the stat sheet only gave him one. There's one near the goal line, which I guess they're saying was at the line of scrimmage. I don't know, but he was in the backfield today, and he was pretty active. I liked what I saw from Caleb Murphy today.
Yeah, Murphy gave me some hope, because in general, if we're just talking about the edge room, some real question marks there.
Oh, yeah. They were not today.
Nah, but running back through to some of the interior defensive line play, Otito didn't play for a long time, but that first drive and a half that he was in, he was dominant. I don't know how many, if I don't think any of the line starters played. I'm not sure how many of the guys on offensive line were regular starters or not. However it goes, Tito isn't looked at as a guy that's quote unquote a starter for the Chargers that has been recently. He's been more of a rotational guy, but Otito looked like a player tonight. And there have been reports coming out of camp that he's also one of the most improved interior guys, but not just as a run defender, as a pass rusher. So if that's real, then again, more development from someone that we didn't expect very much from. And then who else was there? Christopher Hinton. So yes, Hinton made a decent play or two there towards the end of the game, but there was one play where I saw him get washed literally 10 yards back. Like he looked like he was almost playing safety. He got blown off of the line and walked back to almost the third level. I'm like, oh God, we can't have this on the field during the regular season. So I don't know. He's a back of the roster guy anyway. So we'll see what happens there. No big deal. I don't think it's going to be a thing with him. So we won't give him too much guff. But yeah, I mentioned the edge group, and Kyle Kennard was a name that I was keeping eyes on, like I'm sure most of the fandom was.
Yeah.
And it didn't look great for Kennard tonight, especially as the game went on. I didn't see very much pressure from him at all, but then he was getting manhandled in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. He essentially got pancaked. I don't know if that was a tight end or if it was a tackle. Don't remember. I just remember looking up and seeing 54 going from the edge to the second level and then lying on his stomach with the guy on top of him. And it was just kind of like, oh, come on, that can't happen, especially since he's been getting rave reviews about his ability to set the edge. That did not show itself from what I saw tonight. And as far as him getting after the passer, I don't feel like it was really, I think it's pretty much non-existent, but that was almost from the edge group as a whole. So These again are backup guys. We'll see how that develops. But he's kind of sort of a project because he's not the most athletic guy, also not the strongest. He's going to be in a kind of, I know that the initial idea is for him to be someone who's rushing the passer as a specialist, but he wasn't really getting after the quarterback in a preseason game against backups. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here in the next few weeks. Maybe just kind of getting his sea legs under him. I don't know. But what I saw tonight was not very encouraging.
I didn't feel like much of anybody got much of a pass rush today. I thought Tito got in the backfield a couple times. I saw Caleb Murphy get some penetration. And the shutout was for Christopher Hinton's fourth down stop. But he wasn't really getting much push either. I know Morris Brash got a sack, but it felt more like a coverage sack than anything else.
Yep.
But I mean, outside of that, they weren't getting after Kyle Allen much at all today.
Super comfortable in the pocket. And Morris Brash was someone who really stuck out here. What was that, last preseason?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was a guy a lot of us were rooting for, and not a lot from him tonight either. So again, see what happens over the next few games. But it'd be nice to have someone, step up and become, and I guess maybe it's going to be Kennard. They're hoping it's going to be Kennard. I'm hoping it's going to be Kennard, or else if someone were to go down in that edge rush room, things would get really scary in a hurry. So
it feels like they're putting a lot on Thule. They're expecting a lot from him this year. Not that I was against getting rid of Bosa at this point in his career. I wasn't on that train, but without getting Kennard where they did in the draft, it clearly wasn't that big of a need for them, or they didn't feel like it. So I don't know if they feel like Bud and Thule can really help out, but I mean, one injury to anybody, and this group is trouble. I don't know how they're going to get after the quarterback. So yeah, because like Gaming with the Bros, who is Yaya2X in the Discord, by the way, says, what cuts or free agent edges are we wanting? Edge needs to be addressed, and that is absolutely true. I don't know who's possibly out there, but
off of the top of my head, we still have seeing faces, forgetting names.
Weren't the
X-Lions edge rusher. Also, his name starts with is it a Z in the first name or the last name? I don't remember.
You're not thinking of, is it Ziggy Ansah?
Okay,
that's a Z, and that's a former. That I don't.
Why am I not able to remember anybody's freaking name right now?
Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith.
Okay.
There you go. And then there's also who else? There's another.
I know the Patriots were thinking about getting rid of who is that high draft pick? Kalavon Chasen Chasen, who I don't really care for.
I don't. It's not doing it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's put in the chat. Austin,
Bryce Huff?
Jadeveon Clowney is another option. Don't know why that didn't come to mind right away.
Matt Judon.
Judon's out there also. If I had an option of the three, I'd like Judon. Think he's, as far as like from an athletic standpoint, I think it'd be between Judon and Clowney. Clowney's always been better run defender than pass rusher, even though he was a freakish athlete. He slowed down just a couple ticks at this point. But you need a mercenary to come in for at least a year to be a part of that group. Nothing long term. So either any of those three will work for me. I'm just afraid that, like you mentioned, if anybody goes down that edge room, they're going to have to find a way to manufacture pressure, which means you're going to have to take away something else on your defense.
Derwin.
And and no, there are other things. Now, Derwin's going to do some of that already. Yeah. But because he's going to be playing closer to the line of scrimmage. But I'm not trying to send Derwin on 7-8 blitzes and games. Not necessarily what I'd like to do. So, give me any one of those three and I'd be perfectly fine with it. At this point, I think they should. They're doing a disservice to the team if they don't figure something out. They need another vet in the room that can get after the quarterback.
So, Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Matt Judon, Preston Smith, Old man Jerry Hughes, as Steve and P put, and
Is
Tyus
Jerry Hughes
Bowser.
still playing football?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know.
Live your dream, man.
I know.
Who am I to judge you?
Yeah. Let's see. Do you think he's got to be late 30s, right?
If Jerry, okay, see, I did this earlier and I was wrong.
Hold on.
He's got to be over 35. Jerry Hughes has to be older than 35 years old.
He's going to be 37 this season.
Okay. Thank you.
Whew. Now that's old for a football player.
Hard pass.
No thanks. But anyway, that's the names that the chat are throwing around. And then I don't know what else we got. I mean, I think we covered most of everything. So everybody send your questions in the chat. We can answer anything. We saw Dicker miss a kick.
Yeah, he did miss a field goal
at the beginning.
Yeah, doinked
Hit the upright. Yep.
Yeah.
But then made his next one.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Someone who ran hot and cold tonight, Junior Coulson. He played virtually the whole game. I saw some good things, but then I also saw some bad. And Junior Coulson was my favorite linebacker in that draft cycle a couple years ago. So I was ecstatic when the Chargers got him. You're also talking about somebody who understands the defensive scheme because he was molded by it to steal a line from Bain. He just didn't seem like, I'm not saying that he's not grasping the defense. He still just seems slow in it, and his reaction time isn't quite what it needs to be, and he's overrunning plays. I think on the lone touchdown that the Lions scored, he overran the play and left the gap open, and was one of the reasons why that score happened. But Junior Coulson just he's got to speed up the curve. Again, I felt like him understanding and knowing the defense already would give him an advantage. But you think of everything that happened to him last year with the injuries, the appendectomy, that stuff, I get it. But now if you had a healthy offseason, you got to go through and take your lumps during this preseason, and hopefully he can start to ascend. Because in my mind, with his athletic ability and his understanding of this defense, there's no reason why this dude shouldn't be, on side of Deion Henley by midseason. We'll just have to see how things continue to develop. But tonight he was pretty hit or miss. And again, I'm going to shoot him a little bit of bail because of how much he missed last season and him getting himself back into the groove. So hopefully you can use the preseason as a bit of a tune-up and kind of get the ball rolling as we roll into the season.
Yeah, it felt like every play he made was a couple yards downfield. He wasn't really attacking the line of scrimmage today. I think he made like 3 or 4 tackles today, if I'm not mistaken. It was 4. But I would guess that the average depth was 4 or 5 yards per tackle. I mean, it just felt like he was making a tackle at his spot. It wasn't really attacking the line of scrimmage as much as we'd like to see him do.
Yeah.
He made a couple plays. He made some tackles, which is great, but yeah, I think saying that he ran hot and cold is pretty fair. There were some that you felt he made a pretty strong tackle or two, and you're like, great on Coulson, but no real pop plays, nothing that would really say that he had a great day today. But there were, he made some tackles today for sure.
Yeah, I didn't see very much coming downhill. I did see like 1 or 2 really good tackles where he scraped and made a play going towards the sideline. I think I saw maybe 1 play where he stopped it for a 1 or 2 yard gain. But everything else, like you said, was literally at his level. Either he met the tackle or he met the ball carrier at his level, or it was 5-6 yards downfield in chase. But either way, you can see him trying to round into form. I wouldn't say that he looked like a liability. I know some people weren't really happy with his performance, but I just think that it was a push for the most part.
Yes. I don't know if this is a joke or not, Casey, but Hines played today.
Yeah.
But he went by Miller Hines. Maybe you missed that part.
The Miller threw it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked about Naeem earlier, but definitely was a solid contributor tonight. He absolutely played not only as a runner, but as a returner as well. So he definitely contributed.
Yep. Okay. Richie might have missed it early in the show. What are your thoughts on the rookie class? So we talked a little bit about it. So Hampton.
A tease. Only got to see him on the first drive. He got 2 carries.
Yeah, but
it's hard to take a lot away from that. But yeah, I like the very little we saw.
Yes.
Then you've got
Trey Harris, who had one target,
got in
that
a
was
gang
not
of
catchable.
cardio tonight.
Mhm.
So take what you will from that.
Then Jamari
Caldwell, who I literally only saw once, and I saw
saw
him running
9.
back to the huddle, and that's it. That's all I saw. I just remember seeing 99. I'm like, oh, there he is, and then I never saw him again the rest of the night. So, got to go back and watch his snaps. Didn't see very much there.
Me neither. We talked about Kennard, who was very cold today.
Yep, there was no hot and cold there. Dude's just frigid the whole night.
Yep, KLS,
the man,
a revelation.
The man on offense, aside from Trey Lance, but we're talking about just skill players, receivers, running backs across the board. KLS did all he could possibly do tonight.
Yeah. He looked like he could be a star. Gadsden had one catch, little 7-yard catch, but made it. Let's see. Then the Pitt kid, Branson Taylor.
I couldn't tell you anything about what Taylor did tonight. Didn't see anything.
Then we talked about Mickens. And then what about
Bridges? So Bridges, I saw 2 things. There was one pretty decent tackle he made towards the end of the game, but then there was one where he came downhill, had a guy dead to rights and didn't wrap him up. He made contact, but he ended up missing the tackle. I think if he makes it, that's a tackle for loss or no gain. But because he didn't wrap the guy up, it turned into like a 4 or 5 yard. But as far as coverage is concerned, I didn't see very much of him, and coverage is going to have to be one of those where I go back and watch the snaps again, but nothing to write home about there.
Yeah. No, I didn't see much from Bridges either. Okay. What would your guys' RB rooms solely based on tonight's performance? Oh, just on tonight's performance?
Eek.
Oh, well, how about, I don't want to do that because that's crazy, because we can't give Hampton a starting job after 2 snaps, and Harris, we don't even know. So who are the 4, if you had to keep 4 running backs, which 4 are you keeping? If preseason ended right now, Najee Harris is going to be healthy. Let's say this was the last preseason game.
Yeah.
Who would you keep?
Harris, Hampton, Vidal.
Okay. And then it comes down to Haskins or Hines.
You got to keep Haskins for the special teams value. He's going to be a core special teams guy.
Okay.
Now, I like what I saw from Hines, but again, this is just one showing so far. It's all we have. I liked what I saw, but I'm just thinking about the variety in backs and what they can offer. And if you're going to be on the back end, you have to have special teams value. Hines offers you return value. Haskins gives you, even though Haskins does play on a return team, he's not much of a returner. He's more so of a blocker, but he plays on your other teams. So he gives you more all around value. And I think they'll probably lean more so on that than what they will with Hines. And Haskins also, he's got some equity with the team just based on what he's already done. So those are probably going to be the 4 for me.
Miller Hines had a pretty nice kick return early in that game. I mean,
and late and in the third quarter, and to open the second half, he had one also.
Didn't that get called back? Oh no, I'm thinking something else. Okay, yeah, that was a nice one. Yeah, I'm keeping the same 4. I don't think Hines makes this roster, though. I'd love for him to. He was nice, but I think Vidal probably ekes it out. He was drafted by this team. They have high hopes for him. All right. Next question from Glenn Gordo. How much of this is because of Mentor's defense, the performance today? I know it's second, third stringers, but we still continue to be stingy on defense. I mean, it just feels to me, and I know you're about to go, Craig. Sorry, but it feels like Mentor's defense is all kind of a sum of the parts. I'm kind of screwing that saying up, but like it feels like you can basically drag and drop not anybody, but they've put a roster together that they can drag and drop a lot of players to fill in certain roles and not miss a beat, where a lot of guys depend on their stars to be, to help carry their defense. Whereas feels like Mentor's got a well-oiled machine on defense. And so there were no starters on offense, period. I don't know about the offensive line. I take that back. But the broadcast said the Lions weren't playing any starters today. So I'm just going to pretend like there weren't any. And so, yes, it was good today against second, third string. I guess Kyle Allen's maybe a QB2, maybe 3, depending on where they see Hooker. But, I don't know. There's a lot to take away from this, but I feel like with the opportunities they were given in live game action, it was a really, really good showing. Even on the lone touchdown that the Lions scored, they had to convert 2 fourth down conversions to get there. So even with that one touchdown, they had to scrape by to go and get it. So it was impressive by Minter and his defense. But again, it just feels like you can put a lot of different guys in different places, and they built the roster so they know that they've got a machine and they can just keep rotating guys in and out of it.
The system is great because you saw that in practice just last year when they were going through like every safety that was available in the market because a different guy was going down every few weeks, and they just kept humming, even at the cornerback position. The system works very, very well because they're able to do multiple things out of similar sets. So, or they can change the setup and call the same types of plays and coverages, but really what it's about is most of the time they line up in pretty much they'll do a lot of big nickel stuff with Derwin in the slot, but just in general, those 3 safety looks makes the defense very, very versatile when you have a player that you can put into the box that isn't a liability but can also cover. And so they're able to shift and make adjustments just out of that set. A lot of the play calls, they just look the same because the sets are the same. So a lot of it is system based, but it's a system that the players adapt to very well. They get players that work in the system, and the guys just, for some reason, it's not nearly, or it doesn't come across as nearly as complicated as what we experienced, the players experienced in the Staley system. Not asking them to do too much. They're not asking players to do things that they aren't good at. So it's really, I'm not calling it a simple system. I'm just saying that from the appearance, things look simplistic, but they do some very tricky things, especially on the back end, that work well because of the type of players that they have and the fact that the team, I know it's not necessarily the way you want to build a team, but their strength is kind of like the back end to the front. So again, the system works well, and they get the players that know what they're doing in their specific spots. A lot of guys also cross-train, so they understand everyone else's assignments. It's just a very well organized and put together defense where they're not asking too much of guys. Do your job, and also maybe understand a little bit of what everyone else is doing, so there's some cohesiveness there. And I mean, Jesse Minter's he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. I mean, you can say that in 1 year into his NFL tenure. You saw what he did in college, but it's all the same basic principles that he took from Michigan. The defense just works very well because he's a smart guy and he asks guys to do what they're good at. It's not very difficult to understand.
Yep. All right. We're going to get to what feels like the big question after this whole game as our last one before we get out of here. This is from TH. Can you comment on Scary Terry wanting a trade and if we are players in that market? Craig, how do you feel about this? I can give you an update, but I'd like to hear what you we haven't even talked about this yet, Craig. This is nice.
Oh, interesting. So I'm going to get the news with everybody else. Okay. So I wouldn't be opposed because the more weapons, the better. You give Herbert a primary number 1 type target around what they already have, and it gives them, some quality vet leadership in the room. That's an actual top of the league type difference maker at receiver. I'm good with that. Do I want it? Sure, why not? Yeah, I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say no. I was trying to think of a reason to why we shouldn't do it, but I really can't think of one. I mean, he's going to be 30, if I'm not mistaken, and he's wanting kind of like that Deebo Samuel-ish type money, which I don't remember what Deebo's getting a year, which is kind of part of the problem because they were willing to trade for Deebo and give him his money, but he and Terry are around the same age, but they're haggling him about his.
Yeah, Terry's 29. He's going to be 30 this season in September.
So, I mean, the guy can still play. There's no drop off. And the Chargers have significant funds going into next year also. So if they want to play around with contract stuff, they have the ability to do it. That kind of feels like a win now move also. But hell, go for it. I'd be down for it. Give it to Herbert. Give him all the weapons you can give him. He needs them because he has not had them in his career to this point. Give him the same type of weapons that all the other top wire quarterbacks in the league have, that people compare him to when they say that he can't get the job done because he's not had the same advantages many of those guys have. So yeah, make it a fair playing ground. Give him a guy like that and let's go to work. I'm good with it.
So when you think about this wide receiver room, which has been a problem in our eyes for a while, Lad McConkey, obviously a sure thing. You've got two rookies in Trey Harris and KLS. You've got, I don't know what you really have in Quentin Johnston, but then after that it's Jalen Reagor, it's Darius Davis. Davis, more of a special teams guy. They think he's improved this offseason. Great. But I think if you want to add a real weapon to this offense, you go and do that. So the Chargers called the Commanders today, checking in on Scary Terry McLaurin, and Washington is not interested.
Of course not.
McLaurin is a cornerstone of that offense to a young quarterback that they feel like they can pair together for a while. So Chargers wanted to see if they were interested. Heard that McLaurin was requesting a trade. Washington, as of like 4:00 Pacific time, according to my text, I don't know when they made the call, Washington was just not moving.
So I heard that when teams were calling previously, they were turning them down already. I feel like maybe Terry announcing this is kind of his way to help to try to push things along potentially. But I agree, man. You got what will be a superstar quarterback on your hands, young guy. Why take one of his primary weapons away from him? There's nothing advantageous about trading Terry for them right now. I mean, I know they have Debo, but can you actually depend on Debo with his injury history? And he doesn't provide you the same wide receiving prowess as Terry does. He's more of a gadget guy than a traditional wide receiver. So we can dream, right? Like, if he makes us think enough of us think about it, if they won't pay him what he wants, which he deserves, I feel, then because I mean, what he wants, Debo, DK, Metcalf type money, and he's a better wide receiver than both. So I think you should pay him. If you're not, trade him.
Debo was 3 years, $71.5 million.
What was DK again?
Oh, DK I thought was bigger. Hold on. I'll look it up. His was 5 years, 150.
Well, yeah. Younger player.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking about, Debo because they're similar ages. So the contracts will, as far as length, will probably be similar. But yeah, pay him or trade him. Like, as simple as that. I mean, I don't think he's going to go into this year not playing for what he feels like he's worth. So there could be kind of a standoff situation there. And do you want to have to deal with that with a quarterback that's ascending, that, you got to be thinking high heavens that you have. So why take away his primary target in the passing game? Just doesn't seem like a good idea.
I think Schefter tweeted it out earlier, but it's the same. T. Higgins did it last year. Brandon Ayuk's done it. Debo did it, and they all
didn't get traded.
Yeah. So feels like common sense. But, I mean, they were a game away from the Super Bowl last year. They got to the NFC Championship game, and they did it with a rookie quarterback with that roster. They added to it this year. Why would they do that? Doesn't make sense for the Commanders to do that.
Not at all. I feel like it's going to be super contentious, or I mean, I don't know. At this point, what are you going to do? If you don't pay him, you're going to have, a situation in the locker room that's going to be super contentious. And if he decides to sit, I mean, he's going to be 30. So time's not necessarily on his side. How much time is he going to sit? Who knows what he would be willing to sacrifice. But Man, that would be really, really nice in powder blue or navy for that matter.
Yeah. Man, he'd look great in Navy. Now, if Dan Snyder were still running the team, I think there's a chance of that happening, but not now. But Stephen P., your comment to God's ears. Hey, man, Jaden should have a young first-round wide receiver to grow with. Quentin Johnston and a fourth for Terry McLaurin.
Hey, who can do better than that?
I don't know. That's a made-up trade that'll never happen, so I don't think anybody can do better than that. That will never happen. Oh, but no Quentin Johnston today, by the way. Got a free pass today.
Yeah, man. One of those. I forget what Harbaugh referred to them as. He didn't. Did he say traditional veterans? Something, I don't know. Something along those lines. But yeah, no Quentin. I mean, hey, I guess the guys that we needed to see, we did, and Quentin is considered a starter at this point, which I'm always going to question a bit about what the overall plan was before Mike Williams got hurt.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know, but I don't know how many times we can keep taking shots at QJ without him even touching the field today. But we're finding a way.
Yeah,
we're finding a way.
We're just asking questions. That's all. And we're trolling y'all a little bit because we know it pisses y'all off. It's all in good fun.
It does,
man.
Yeah.
Don't take it seriously.
I know. Please,
even though some of y'all will anyway.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Veteran traditional starters won't play is what Steven said the verbiage was.
There you go.
Veteran starters.
I knew it was something like that.
Yeah. All right.
Another Harbaughism.
It is time to get out of here. Chargers, best team in football, have scored the most points in the NFL, given up the least amount of points. Trey Lance leading the NFL in yards, touchdowns, completions. And I want to say Kamani Vidal and Will Dissly leading the NFL in touchdowns.
Book those tickets for February now, man.
Yep. It's over. They did it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Salute.